Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying,
Speak to the children of Israel, that they turn and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, opposite Baal-zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are bewildered by the land, the wilderness has closed them in. For Pharaoh, then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them. And I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord.
And they did so. Now it was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and they said,
Why have we done this?
Time out. Time out. Okay. I don't know why I didn't notice this. Okay. Let me read that part. Let me read this again. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, opposite Baal-zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are bewildered by the land. The wilderness has closed them in. Because I guess they don't know the land, so they're getting lost and confused where we go. I don't know what to do. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. Okay, so is God hardening Pharaoh's heart? It's saying that he's hardening his heart. But again, is it just describing the situation? Like it is what is happening. And what happens is God's will always, because, I mean, he's God. He knows everything that's going to happen, right? Everything that occurs on this earth is up to God, right? That goes through him in some way, because it's his creation. I mean, we have free will, but by creating us in the first place, that set the stone in motion, right? So he has a part to play in everything, even though we have free will. So is this a way of Moses just describing the situation, or is God literally saying that I will harden Pharaoh's heart? Because in a lot of the past plagues, it would just said, and Pharaoh hardened his heart, and Pharaoh hardened his heart. And some of them it says, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So is it just different vocabulary being used, or is it two different things? Let's see if this Bible has to say anything. I doubt it will, because we've heard this quite a number of times. 14:4. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart. One more blow against Pharaoh was determined. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's not saying anything else. Yeah, okay. Man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section regarding what does it mean by God hardening Pharaoh's heart, or Pharaoh hardening his heart? Are those one and the same, or are they two different things? And if they're two different things, what do you think they mean? Because that means God purposely led Pharaoh and the Egyptians to their death, right? If this is true. So yeah, let me know.
That we have let Israel go from serving us.
So he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. Also he took 600 choice chariots and all the chariots of Egypt, with captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with boldness. So the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army,
Dang,
and overtook them camping by the sea. of Israel.
It said the children of Israel went out with boldness. So they met the chariots.
The Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army, and overtook them camping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid. The children of Israel cried out to the Lord. Then they said to Moses,
"Because there were no graves in Egypt? Have you taken us away to die in the wilderness?
Why have you so dealt with us to bring us up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, 'Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians'?
For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness."
Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace.
And the Lord said to Moses,
Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I indeed will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. So I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gained honor for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots.
So God is hardening their hearts so that he can do these wonders so that the Egyptians will know that he is God. What do you think about that?
And his horsemen.
And the angel of God, who went before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud went from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other all that night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night. And made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided.
Okay, wow, so it was a wind that caused the slitting of the sea.
So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea, on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. Now it came to pass, in the morning watch, that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians. And he took off their chariot wheels, so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said,
"Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians."
Then the Lord said to Moses,
Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen.
And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. And when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth, while the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. But the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. So the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore.
Dang.
Thus Israel saw the great work
Fatality.
which the Lord had done in Egypt. So the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses.
There had to have been, and Pharaoh came in. Pharaoh survived, right? Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea, right? We still think that Pharaoh survived that, right? Because it didn't say that he came into the sea. Because someone had to have gone back and told the story, you know what I mean? Otherwise, how will this have? God did this so that the Egyptians would turn to Him, right? And I mean, you need someone to go back and tell the story. So I'm guessing Pharaoh stayed back and didn't charge in.
Then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to the Lord.
I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank to the bottom like a stone.
I'm curious as to how this song
Your right
sounded.
hand, O Lord, has become glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, has dashed the enemy in pieces. And in the greatness of your excellence, you have overthrown those who rose against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. And with the blasts of your nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The floods stood upright like a heap. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My desire shall be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. You blew with your wind the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, glorious?
Okay, so either Moses believed that those gods exist still, and he's saying that the Lord God is the mightiest among the gods, or he's just saying, look, those Egyptians who believe in those gods, look, you are so much more powerful than them. I don't believe in them, though. Could be either way.
In holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders. You stretched out your right hand. The earth swallowed them. You in your mercy have led forth the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength to your holy habitation. The people will hear and be afraid. Sorrow will take hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, will take hold of them. All the inhabitants of Canaan will melt away. Fear and dread will fall on them. By the greatness of your arm, they will be as still as a stone, till your people pass over, O Lord. Till the people pass over, whom you have purchased. You will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which you have made for your own dwelling, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands have established. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. For the horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots and his horsemen into the sea, and the Lord brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea.
Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances.
Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea.
So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea. Then they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses.
What shall we drink?
So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were made sweet. There he made a statute and an ordinance for them, and there he tested them.
If you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you which I have brought on the Egyptians. For I am the Lord who heals you.
Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees.
Okay. If you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments. 10 commandments have not been written yet, mind you. And keep all his statutes. I will put none of the diseases on you which I have brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. So what are the commandments and the statutes, right? Because have they been following all of that during the time of slavery? And could they have followed all of them during the time of slavery? I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious what the commandments and the statutes are, because we learned that in the time of Abraham there were some laws, but they were not. It's not explicitly written down here in the Bible that we know, right? Because they've made reference to them, but there is no explicit. This is what we believe, and these are what we can do and what we can't do. But here, God is referring to his commandments and his statutes. So there seems to be some concrete, this is a line, this is what you can't do, what you can do. This is what you should be doing, this is what you shouldn't be doing. These are the principles that you should abide by, and these are the principles you shouldn't abide by. So they seem to have something, right? I'm just curious what that is.
For I am the Lord who heals you.
Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees. So they camped there by the waters. And they journeyed from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them,
"Oh, that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to the full.
For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill."
Wait, so you guys were eating nicely, eating meat and bread and all that stuff till you're full in Egypt? I doubt that. I mean, if you were, then, okay. Why are you complaining so much, huh? Oh, well, let's read this. The location of the wasteland called the wilderness of Sin, right? We're in 16:1. Came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. Its position between Elim and Sinai depends on the location of Mount Sinai. The name Sinai has nothing to do with the English word sin. The term second month means 1 month from the time of their departure from Egypt. So that's just giving us a time frame right there, right? On the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. So it's been a month and 15 days.
This whole assembly with hunger.
Then the Lord said to Moses,
Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain quota every day, that I may...
I want to know what manna tastes like. I'm very curious. And also, I find it really cool that a lot of fantasy games use the term mana for as like the sustenance for your character. Like you run out of mana and you can't do any like your abilities and stuff. You have like a certain amount of mana. So same thing here. It's like their food, you know? I find that cool.
I test them whether they will walk in my law or not. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
Then Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel,
At evening you shall know that the Lord has brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, for he hears your complaints against the Lord.
But what are we, that you complain against us?
This shall be seen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to the full.
Time
For
out.
the Lord hears your complaints.
Time out. Meat in the evening. I thought they were okay, here's what I always thought. I thought God gave manna, right? Every single day you gather it, and then The Friday twice portion you gather to eat on Sabbath, right? And you can't gather more than you should gather and all that stuff, right? And then they started to complain about eating bread constantly. So Moses went to God, and then God sent quails. They flew really low, so they were easy to catch. But this is like from the get-go, right? Okay, here we're talking about the manna falling from the sky. And then Moses and Aaron said to the children of Israel, at evening you shall know that the Lord, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, immediately. Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you. And people shall go out and gather a certain quota every day, that I may test them, whether they will walk in my law or not. Right? So immediately
and it shall be twice as much as they gather.
I never knew that.
Then you shall know,
But what are we, that you complain against us?
This shall be seen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to the full. For the Lord hears your complaints, which you make against him. And what are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against the Lord.
Then Moses spoke to Aaron.
Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before the Lord, for he has heard your complaints.
Now it came to pass, as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses.
I have heard the complaints of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God.
So it was that quails came up at evening and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And when the layer of dew lifted, there, on the surface of the wilderness, was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. So when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another,
What is it?
For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them,
This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord has commanded.
Do you think the manna is like some heavenly type of food? Like, because I didn't know what it was. Like, it came from heaven? Or, like, quail comes from earth and God provided the quail. This manna comes from earth and God provided it. Yeah, so maybe it's something that we can find on earth. Let's see where it says 16. A small round substance. There have been many attempts to explain manna as naturally occurring substance that still might be found in the desert. Some have identified it as insect or plant secretions. The wording of these verses belies every one of these approaches. The description of manna in these two verses is necessary precisely because it was not a naturally occurring substance. See the description in Numbers 11, 1-15. The Israelites question, what is it? Named the mystery bread manna. This is the bread. The manna could be made into bread. The Lord has given the bread. The Lord has given. Okay, the bread was a specific gift from God. Okay, it's just breaking down different phrases. There we go. All right. So it can be made into bread.
Let every man gather it according to each one's need. 1 omer for each person, according to the number of persons. Let every man
Well, I mean, it didn't really say it could be made into bread. It just said this is the bread. So maybe they gather a whole bunch of it and it's just like small little like Some type of grain or something.
For those who are in his tent.
Then the children of Israel did so, and gathered
some type of
some
carb,
more,
right?
some less. So when they measured it by omers, he who gathered much had nothing left over, and he who gathered little had no lack. Every man had gathered according to each one's need. And Moses said,
Let no one leave any of it till morning.
Notwithstanding, they did not heed Moses, but some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was angry with them. So they gathered it every morning, every man according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted.
Wow, what is this?
So it was, on the 6th day, that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Then he said to them,
This is what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up.
Okay, so they already been having the Sabbath day rest.
Up for yourselves
Before 10
all
Commandments.
that remains to be kept until morning.
So they laid it up till morning, as Moses commanded. And it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. Then Moses said,
Yeah, it's
Eat
gotta be some
that
type of heavenly food.
today.
How does it have different rules on different days, right? It's gotta be some type of heavenly type of food, right? Or God is like, you know, affecting it.
Today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it. But on the seventh day, the Sabbath, there will be none.
Now it happened that some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather, but they found none. And the Lord said to Moses,
How long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore he gives you on the 6th day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day.
So the people rested on the 7th day. And the house of Israel called its name manna. And it was like white coriander seed. And the taste of it was like wafers made with honey.
Wow. Okay, so it's
Then
small.
Moses said,
This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Fill an omer with it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness.
What? I want to
when
see.
I brought you out of the land
I
of
want to
Egypt.
see it.
And Moses said to Aaron,
Take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations.
As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept.
Is that in the is that in the
And the
Ark
children
of
of
the Covenant?
Israel ate manna 40 years, until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Now, an omer is 1/10 of an ephah.
What's an ephah? I'm guessing that's like Hebrew to Egyptian translation of measurements. Where is it? Yeah, manna looks like it tasted really well. Tasted really well. Tasted really good. Like honey. Yeah, there's no explanation. Let's look it up. What is an omer? But that's crazy. All right, so that's proof. Boom, done. Sabbath. Like, a lot of people say, like, okay, you know, You don't have to obey Sabbath because in the Ten Commandments and the Mosaic Law was abolished in the New Testament. I think that's more like the ritual laws, right? Not the Ten Commandments. Obviously, that's not abolished. We still follow those, right? And the Ten Commandments, it's remember the Sabbath day. It's the only one that tells you to remember it. But let's even disregard the Ten Commandments. What is it? Omer, yeah. We right here we saw that it was already established from before that, right? You could argue that it was established at the beginning of time in creation, right? God worked for 6 days creating the earth, and on the seventh day he rested. So I don't know if the Israelites in Egypt under bondage, under slavery, were aware of Sabbath still, right? Because it's been hundreds of years. But God immediately told them afterwards, this is a Sabbath day, and you're going to rest on that day. So, an omer, a unit, is an ancient Israelite unit of dry measure used in the era of the temple in Jerusalem. It is used in the Bible as an ancient unit of volume for grains and dry commodities, and the Torah mentions as being equal to 1/10 of an ephah, or ephah. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia of 1906, an ephah was defined as 72 logs, and the log was equal to the Sumerian mina, which was itself defined as 1/60th of a maris. The omer was about equal to 12 1/100ths of a maris, and the maris was defined as being the quantity of water equal in weight to a light royal talent, and thus equal to about 30.3 liters, making the omer equal to about 3.64 liters. However, the Jewish Study Bible of 2014 places the omer at about 2.3 liters. All right, so that's a pretty substantial portion, though. I wonder where that omer of manna is today. Is it in the Ark of the Covenant? I'm curious. I want to see it. I really want to see that. That'll be really cool to see. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about today's reading. I didn't know that with the quail and the manna came at the same time, right? I thought the quails came after they complained for a second time. And yeah, I didn't know the manna evaporated in the morning, right? That's cool. And I didn't know about the reference to Sabbath before the Ten Commandments to the children of Israel. So that's cool. That's why God says, remember the Sabbath, because they already knew about the Sabbath. So, yeah, that's interesting. All right, yeah, let me know what you guys think about what we read, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow for chapter 17. We're getting to 17 tomorrow. Yeah. So, yeah, I will see you guys again for 17, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.